All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday, April 30th, with my man Gyiraszin, like usual. Ready to talk some baseball. 12 games, Gyiraszin. Weather? Hey, at least we don't have to worry about too much weather. All I see, the worst game, yellow from Roth, Chicago, the Mets. He thinks the game's going to play. We're going to talk like all 12 games played perfectly fine. Of course, always monitor weather throughout, though. Big boy slate. I mean, man, talking ownership, it's going to be relatively spread out. Freddie Peralta is going to get a lot of ownership, I think. Outside of that, though, bats are spread out. Multiple pitching options to talk about. Go collect. Mike Carr wins a lot. Gator Nation, Jordan in chat. Hope you all doing well. I'll throw it right to you, I guess, right on this comment, Gyiraszin. I saw Barry Sanders in the background in that. Detroit, man. I was talking to Hoop a little bit. He had a blast at the draft. Is it just everyone's so pumped? You guys haven't won football in what? 85 years. Now you guys have a nice little season. Re-sign Amon-Ra. Now everybody's pumped for the draft or what? What's going on?
Dude, we won the national title. Our team finally went to an NFC championship, the Lions. We believe in them Lions, man. We believe in them Lions. I'll tell you that. So how cool would it have been, though, to Ben Arnold? The whole city was like, man, it'd be perfect if we trade up to get him like 12. They were talking what number we had to trade up to. And then where we got him, and then all of a sudden, when they announced his name, that had to be that kid's best rush ever. Like 275,000 people just going ape shit for it. He grabbed the mic and shit. I was like, this dude's going to fit in good. Yeah. But, I mean, hey, Detroit showed out. It was pretty cool. I mean, they've done a lot of work over the city. I mean, I'm 52 years old, man. I've seen that place down there. It's just dump rats, garbage everywhere. But they've done a really good job in the last 20 years building it up. But, man, that was like, I hope a rebirth because Detroit's pretty cool down there. It's a pretty nice area. I like going down there. I go to the casinos down there, walk all around, do everything. But, yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought it was cool. But I didn't go down there. I was going to go down there on Saturday title, and then I kind of got lazy and wanted to play some DFS and do my thing, and hanging out with the wife. And, and then we start drinking to high noons and slamming some screwball and fuck. Before you know it,
you weren't going to get down there.
Yeah. Hey, good times though. Great time. Hey, it's like summer out here, man. It's like 75 degrees. It's one of them days. Like when it's like this, man, fucking life is good around here. I can't complain. We're going to win some money tonight and some baseball. We got a nice 12-game slate that we're going to talk about here. So, man, like you said, there really isn't too much chalk that like stands out. So I think that today's one of those days. Play what you like. Don't necessarily have to sweat out too much ownership issues like we've seen. Seems like the last few slates. But, man, on FanDuel, there's a big, huge tournament, $150, 2,222 people, $100K up there on top. So, hey, man, hopefully we see a SHIPIT Nation logo up there at the top. Got to give a shout-out to our man Scarface. Shipped his ass another seat to the FanDuel live final. So congrats to our boy. Hey, he's in the Discord. So you guys want to converse with him, you can always catch him over here at SHIPIT Nation. But, man, title, we've been kicking some ass. I know last week we talked about, some different scenarios that, played out pretty well for us. I know, last week from the time we've been on here, I mean, one day I even gave out the stinking Miami Marlins and Jazz Chisholm. I got some shit from people. Oh, you don't hit lefties. Dude, this is Patrick Corbin. I was like, he don't count, man. Jazz is one of the better bats. I just jammed him in, hits a stinking grand slam. Whoever followed was the SHIPIT guys were up at the top. We had the Marlins stack. So, I mean, we're probably only going to want to stack the Marlins maybe once, twice more throughout the year. It paid off for us the time we did. So, man, life is good, title. We can't complain.
Amen. Life is definitely good. 78 degrees by you. I just got in from a little out in the sun, 92 degrees here, ready to talk some ball. I will say, on the Marlins point, it's so hard to stack them because they're almost never on the main slate. Today, 6:40 Eastern. They always have like the 30-minute window right before. You've been on fire. Gyirasin's on the Slate plan today. If you're a member at SHIPIT Nation, definitely make sure to check that out. I'll shout out Hamwich as well. I was on the Friday show for Nades last Friday. Ham, Tyler O'Neill. Dude was like 2% owned. Tyler O'Neill goes deep. So awesome call right there by Ham. We're excited to talk a little 12-game baseball. And yeah, definitely shout out Scarface. Got his second ticket in that FanDuel Live final. I mean, he's been crushing it for years now in the FanDuel streets, shipping lots of Qs over there. He's now in the Discord. Healy's in the Discord after right here, 4 deep. They shut down the DFS platform. The DFS members came over to SHIPITNation.com. If you guys at SHIPITNation.com or not a member and watching this are interested in betting, not just picks, I saw Tommy's been on fire, still rolling NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. It's education, it's process as well. They have an awesome Discord over there at 4 deep. You want to give them a try? Use that right there, SHIPITNation.com/4 deep. It'll take you to the website. Promo code SHIPIT gets you 20% off. They're sponsoring the MLB show. Shout out to them. Again, Scarface, Healy, and chat, always dropping great knowledge in the Discord. No better time to get over to SHIPITNation.com. NBA playoffs, PGA going on. Locks Thursday. We're back to normal events. MMA 301 this week. NHL playoffs, MLB, NASCAR, all those sports going on. We don't change the price still. $69 a month. 6 months comes out to $59 a month. Our annual package comes out to $49 a month. All of that is before Hoop15 promo code will get you 15% off any of those plans. Do get in the Discord for sure if you do join. Education. We saw a new member come in the MLB chat. He asks, like, he's been in the game for a while. He hasn't had much success. He wants to learn. We have education courses for MLB, for NBA, for NFL. Definitely make sure to check that out. It covers a lot. Contest selection, have a plan, bankroll management, etc. Always good to look at that. If you do want to join us for weekly, we have that option. $24 a week. No Discord, no promo code. Can check out all the content on the site, though. Who else we got in chat today? Devin's in here. D-Rock's in here. What's going on, D-Rock? There we go, Devin. Tailed Ham on that O'Neill call. Too bad I couldn't figure out the rest of the lineup. Fortunately, that's the name of the game when it comes to baseball. You get one off right, a mini stack right. Hey, you can get all the batters right. Then somehow your pitchers are going to go negative. You got to have the right combination. One of these days, we talk about it all the time recently in Discord. You have to expect to lose 80% of the time. If you are playing GPPs and you cannot accept losing for a month straight, it's not for you. It's not how often you win. If you want that, play cash games. It's when you win, how much do you win? Get to first place. All the money is up top nowadays as well. You bank that first place and you stick within your bankroll management, one bank a year, you can be profitable. So it's really hard to do. It's really hard to lose. That's why I like cash games. Personally, I'm not a fan of losing 80% of the time, but you do have to know. Then you get that big bank, whatever it may be, to your bankroll. That's what supplements you in GPP. So yeah, Tyler O'Neill was a great call. Baseball's tough, though. You got to get every single spot right. Jordan in here. Illini, what's going on, guys? Let's talk some baseball again. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton right away. Watching live, watching on playback. Much appreciated. Let's talk some baseball, though, Gyiraszin. Again, weather looks solid. We're going to go pitching 8K and up, and then we'll go 8K and below on DraftKings. Freddie Peralta, I think, will be the highest owned pitcher on both sites. Not a hot take by any means. Great matchup against the Rays. Highest K prop on the slate, 7.5. Little juice on the under, but most K props in like that 5.5K range. Go down. There's plenty of other options you want to get to at pitching. 8K and above, a couple I'm going to throw out. Logan Webb against Boston, I think, is interesting at 8.3. Yu Darvish, 8.4. I don't love it much, but it's a big name. Luis Castillo, the second biggest name on the slate at 8.6K. He does get the Braves, though. I do think he comes in with some ownership. So I'm interested to see, is it Luis Castillo that wins out? Is it a Braves offense that has been struggling that wins out? Mitch Keller's another name I'll throw out, and then Ronaldo Lopez is the last name I'll throw out. 8K and above, breakdown pitching, start wherever you want to start.
Yeah, I think you're right, too, with Peralta being the highest owned pitcher. Obviously, getting Tampa Bay, been struggling. I think they had 15 Ks the other day, so they're definitely struggling. But, man, I'll tell you, today – I mean, I ain't gonna bullshit you. There isn't anybody that's like just jumps out at me today. Like, man, I think that's why ownership's going to be pretty spread out. I mean, you got a handful of guys that are in pretty good spots. I mean, especially you want to start up from the bottom. Logan Webb, as you mentioned, is kind of interesting. That Boston lineup has been pretty beat up. They got a lot of injuries over there. So Webb's a pretty good pitcher. Man, Darvish is tough. Cincinnati, I mean, Ellie Cruz this dude's on another fucking planet, man. This guy's just been smashing the shit out of the ball. I think his exit velocity the other day, what they were saying was something absolutely ridiculous I was reading. But, I mean, so Darvish, he's just old washed up. I'm not interested on a slate with 24 pitchers. Assad's a pretty good pitcher. There's just better spots than him in his matchup here with the Mets. Castillo, I think, is interesting, as you mentioned. The Braves been struggling a little bit. Castillo kind of has picked it up a little bit. I mean, that price, he's a better pitcher than the $8,600 pitcher. Yeah, that matchup does kind of suck, but this really hasn't been the Braves. And especially in the last week and a half, they've been pretty just down. Montgomery, not interested against the Dodgers, not going there. Keller is only interesting because he's got the A's. The A's are a team we definitely like to attack here. Keller, though, he's just another guy that's been kind of starting out slow. Berrios, I think that's kind of interesting. You might, I think that's kind of a safer play if you wanted to go there. Turnbull really is a guy that I actually like, that I'm not seeing too many people talk about. Other than Mike Trout, he's going to see a bunch of righties. I think Turnbull's velocity's been up a little bit since he's come back off the injury since being in Detroit. I've actually watched a couple of his starts. He looked like he's got really good stuff. So I kind of like Turnbull quite a bit here from my pivot off of Peralta. But in reality, if I'm playing over on DK, I'm probably jamming in Peralta and trying to figure out if I want to go, one of these guys down here in the 8K range, the Castillos. Maybe, you could look at, if you wanted to go Logan Webb, something like that. You could even maybe go a little further when we get to 8K and below, if you want to look at even like a John Gray. But I think Peralta is the guy that's going to probably get the most ownership. Now, as far as FanDuel goes, I think John Gray is going to be pretty popular. I think Reagan's is going to be pretty popular too. But yeah, I mean, up here, I think Peralta is the safest bet. He's the guy that I like. This guy's just been mowing everybody down. He's got 30% some K rate. But I think Turnbull for me is the pivot that I really like. I think Spencer Turnbull's a guy that could keep up and possibly be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. I just like his stuff. I think his price at 9,100 is a pretty good price point.
Yeah, makes some sense. If my pivot up top is a Ronaldo Lopez, I slightly prefer him to Turnbull. I mean, I love this Seattle ballpark. We do it a lot. And I think if someone can match Freddie's stuff, his strikeouts, I think it probably is Lopez. He has the third highest K prop on the slate, 6.5, some juice on the under. Right on the other side, Luis Castillo at 8.3K. I like him as well. I don't love picking on Atlanta. However, or 8.6K, Webb's 8.3. 8.6K, though, to be honest, I'm just more worried about ownership. Like, I think he's probably the most popular SP2 on this slate because of the price, the ballpark, low total for Atlanta. And if that's the case, I like Freddie so much more, and he's going to be chalky. Like, there's so many other pitchers that I think you can find different combinations than Castillo, Peralta. Now, granted, bats will be spread out. And what I'm trying to say is I like Luis Castillo, but if he is SP2 by decent bits, I think he probably will fall down my board a little bit. Ronaldo Lopez, I do think there's enough value to go Freddie and Lopez if you want. You like Turnbull? I think you can go Freddie and Turnbull. Plenty of cheap bats on this 12-game slate. Logan Webb, though, I definitely like Logan Webb at 8.3K. Totals came down half a run. It's cold in Boston, man. Like 50 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit. Not good hitting weather one bit for Boston. You mentioned they are beat up a little bit. Bottom of the order looks awful. Logan Webb, I mean, get me 6 innings, 5 Ks, like 19 at 8.3K is plenty on this slate. Slight favorite as well. So I really like that Logan Webb price tag. I do think he comes with some ownership too. I think Luis Castillo's higher. If you think the other way, I would just prefer to take the slightly lower owned guy. Mitch Keller at 8.8. You didn't mention him. Any thoughts on him against Oakland?
Yeah, I just don't like how he started out this season so far. I mean, he gets the A, sure, it's a dream matchup. But I haven't seen enough from him, especially on a slate like this, where I think there's plenty of options. I'm just not there. I mean, he's in play. If you believe in Mitch Keller, I think he's a guy you could definitely go to. But yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit about ownership, and I was just kind of thinking to myself, like today, I think really, Peralta will probably be the highest owned, but Title, I don't think he's going to be much higher than in the mid 30s, maybe. Like, I don't really think there's a really clear cut. So I think these SP2s on DK are not going to be really, in a normal sense, high owned. I mean, they're going to be hot, probably in the high teens, maybe low 20s at best. So I don't really think you should be concerned. I think you should just play the matchups you like today, the guys you like today. I wouldn't be necessarily concerned, too much about ownership. We've been on the shows where we've had 6-game slates and it's like 3 pitchers, that's way different than what we got here today. So yeah, I think whatever guys you like, whatever matchups you like, roll with it. I think today is a pretty interesting slate. There really isn't anybody. I mean, there's a few guys, yes, that I think are really interesting. Like you mentioned, Lopez, 29% K rate. And then you got, Lopez got 26%, Castillo, 29%. All these guys up there definitely have pretty good matchups, but there's so many other I think there's like 11 or 12 guys, really almost half the pitchers in play tonight for me, like just kind of taking a peek. There's a few guys I have no interest in, but there's a lot of guys here I think you could play today.
I agree. I think there's so many pitchers you can play. I'm going to try and condense it a little bit. So up top, how I rank them, Freddie by far 1. If you hit the lock button, I don't think it's crazy in 20 and below. Logan Webb 2 at 8.3K. Lopez 3 at 9.5. And again, I do think you can double spend. Castillo would be 4, and then Keller would be 5 in that top range. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely Freddie and it's Webb, Castillo, Lopez, Keller. Yeah, that's all I got up there. Don't want to mess with anything else. I do think your Turnbull, he could be like 7% owned, 6% owned. Big arm, he has upside. Just prefer going to Seattle, playing Lopez there. Let's go 8K and below in this one. Couple names. You already mentioned Cole Reagan. Some people in chat already talking about him. John Gray being talked about as well. Some people are asking about Woods Richardson. He was 4K last start. Now he gets a 3K price bump. Still gets the same White Sox team. These White Sox, man, they've been tilting. They're actually putting the ball in play a little bit, beating up on some of these chalk pitchers. Richardson, John Gray, and Cole Reagan's the main 3 that stick out to me. Anything else you like, talk about it, 8K and below?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk really too much about Mackenzie Gore. I mean, I really like that kid that guy as a pitcher. The matchup Texas is just kind of hard to press, any pitcher against Texas. But I think he's interesting. Reagan's, I think, especially over on FanDuel, I think he's really interesting. I mean, Toronto obviously struggling. He's going to get a bunch of righties. So I think Reagan's is definitely in play. I think he's going to probably be on a couple of my teams over there on FanDuel. That's for sure. John Gray is interesting against Washington, but Washington just doesn't seem to have too many Ks. They don't generally strike out too much, but for that price, 7,300, especially on DK, I think that's a guy you got to look at. Now, Woods Richardson against the White Sox. I mean, everybody played him the other day when he's 4K. All of a sudden, he gets bumped up 3 more K. Now he's 7K. He did look pretty good, but man, this dude's giving up 10 runs or something. I think I was looking at here with 3 runs. All right, maybe it's 10 hits. So I'm sitting there thinking like, is this guy in play against? Today I actually like both sides of that game for bats, actually, to tell you the truth. So. I'm not really in play here for Woods Richardson here, but I mean, I couldn't fault you if you want to go there. I don't know. Carrasco, I'm not interested in. Brown, he's just been getting beat up too much, and nobody else down there I'm even really considering. So as far as the bottom half goes here, I think Reagan's, Gray, Gore. And then
talk about Gore for a sec, because someone asked about Gore. I didn't mention him because I prefer Gray, I prefer Webb, I prefer Reagan's, all in the similar range. But solid K prop, 5.5, minus 170 on the over. Been solid. I don't love picking on Texas, but yeah, touch on him.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't like picking on Texas either, but I think this guy is a pretty good pitcher overall. So, I mean, he's somebody in play. I think today is so spread out. If you're MMEing and you're playing multiple teams, I think you probably should have a share or two of some Gore. So it's just baseball, right? I mean, you don't want to miss out. I mean, the guy definitely has the talent to get you at top of a tournament, I believe. So yeah, I think it's all spread out here today, but I think in the bottom part here. Reagan's and Gray for me up top, and I think Reagan's probably by a wide margin over Gray for me because I think Reagan's got some special stuff, and the Blue Jays got a lot of Ks in that lineup.
I agree. I think the floor is better on Gray, but the ceiling, the upside on Reagan's, I'd much prefer. Is how I see it. Rankin pitcher though, because I don't really like it down there. I don't even know if I'd put Gray or Reagan's. I'd put him ahead of Lopez and probably Mitch Keller. I don't know. I like Mitch Keller a decent bit at 8-8 because I do think Castillo's going to be higher owned, Webb's going to be higher owned for cheaper, and Peralta's going to be higher owned for more. So he kind of falls in that dead range, and everyone's going to eat each other's ownership at this point. Again, like Gyirasin's saying, play who you want to play. Like Freddie's the one guy that's going to be far and away the highest owned, but I think it rightfully so. I will say though, how many teams would it take you on DraftKings, 2-pitcher sites, where you wouldn't get to Freddie? Or like if you played 150, would you lock him in? I personally wouldn't today because it's a 12-game slate. There's enough other good arms. But 20 entry and below, I don't think it's crazy by any means, especially on a slate where if you want to spread out SP2, you want to spread out bats. You want to get a little more direct path on this guy gets you 30. You at least know all 20 teams are somewhat live if you kind of picking up what I'm putting down. I wouldn't mind locking him 20 and below, but if you're 150 or something like that, there's other pitchers that can beat him today. 2 pitchers.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, what helps too, the team today, like the Braves, or the Dodgers. So, we're not looking to spend up expensive on some bats, but I think the way roster construction is, you're going to be able to mix it up pretty much any way you want. I mean, we're going to see a team like, the Minnesotas or the Pirates or the Cubs or some bullshit team like that is going to end up being on the winner here tonight. I just got a feeling. So, who's that going to be? We'll only know. So I'm going to try to blanket a little bit with some coverage here today. But, I mean, we got I think there's some teams that, normally we wouldn't really think about playing, on a 12-game slate. Some of the best teams have tougher matchups, and some teams that I think are in pretty good spots that we might want to attack. So it's going to be an interesting slate. I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. I'm going to have me a few high noons, safety meeting, and we'll figure it out and sit back and get us some more cash, as we like to say, Mr. Title.
Let's do it. Get some more cheese, as the Wisconsinites right next door to you like to say, Gyiraszin. Let's start it off. Let's talk about some of these bats. 12 games to talk about. First game of the night, not many bats I'll be going to. Kansas City Royals, Toronto Blue Jays, 7.5 total. Cole Reagans, Jose Barrios on the mound. I respect Jose Barrios. I respect Cole Reagans. I don't like 7.5 totals. Yeah, I'm not playing any bats in this game. I'm not even going to – you can always play Bobby Witt. But 6.1K is a one-off with a 3.5 team total on a 12-gamer when I'm not playing the rest of the team. I doubt I get there very much. So first one, 12-game slate, make it 11-game slate for bats for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, we got Reagans here. I'm not really interested in any of these bats here for the Blue Jays. Now, as far as the Royals go, Barrios, it's just too tough of matchups on a big slate like this. But I mean, if you wanted to pick on any of them, I guess you could pick on Reagans because you're going to probably get a pretty good leverage, especially probably over there on FanDuel if you wanted to do that. But I just don't think the Blue Jays are good enough to get to this kid. So I'm going to roll with some Cole Reagans here today.
I like it. Move to the next game on the slates. San Francisco Giants, Boston Red Sox, 8 total. Logan Webb, Cooper Criswell on the mound. Again, not a good hitting weather game. 50 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit in Boston. I like Logan Webb. I am not going to play any Boston bats. If you do play, of course, you can play a Rafi Devers, maybe Ham in the Discord talking about Tyler O'Neill or something. Valdez at second base is 3.1K. I'm just spitballing names if you want a one-off. I'm not going to get to Boston, though. Giants are a little more interesting. I like the weather. I don't love playing the Giants, but they're cheap, pretty much 1 through 9. This Cooper Criswell dude does not look any good. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats. I don't know. I maybe can make a case for like a Lamonte Wade at first base, 3.4K. He gets hit more on lefties, this Criswell guy does, than righties. Not even that he's great against righties. Lee, Conforto, Wade, Soler, I don't know. Maybe a mini stack at best. Wade, Chapman, Conforto, Lee, top of the order. But relatively speaking, we have 12 games on this slate. relatively was not the right word, but 12 games on this slate. I don't like this game much compared to some we'll talk about. What about you?
You know, the Giants are interesting. As you mentioned, Criswell's really not any good. He's got a 10% K rate to lefties. You know, obviously you got Lee, Wade, Conforto, Bailey, Yastrzemski. I mean, they got some pretty decent lefties that you could roll out against them. I mean, you get Fenway. I mean, it's interesting for me, but it's just hard to click all them names, right? I mean, on a big slate like that, they're just not sexy names, right? And I think that is what makes it interesting. I actually, if I had to probably lay it out, I'd probably have San Francisco around the 4th or 5th favorite stack today. So, you know, if I'm not playing too deep, maybe 4 or 5 teams, I probably am throwing in a San Francisco stack. They're fairly cheap. I do like the lefty matchup. Boston's bullpen isn't really anything special. So, yeah, I think the Giants are in play. I think that'd be kind of a sneaky kind of stack for me today if you wanted to go there. I think they're in play here. I don't really have any interest on the Red Sox. So, I mean, it was a great call by Ham the other day with O'Neill, but they're just so beat up. I'm just not interested in any kind of stacks. If you wanted to pull one-offs, you know, if you wanted to go that route, you could. But, I mean, I think Webb is too good. There's too many other spots that you could pick on. But I think the Giants are interested in a sneaky sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at team totals like throughout the slate, broad slate overview, there is so many low totals on this slate. Giants at 4.3 runs is like 6th, 7th highest on the slate. And if the hitting weather was better in Fenway, if it was like 65, even 60 maybe, like I would have more interest for sure. So you'll get to them as a 5-man, you think, Gyiraszin? Mini stacks on like 5-man's just tougher. And if so, like who wouldn't you stack 1 through 9 if you are good with a 5-man stack? And who's that pinch hit risk? I will admit I'm not good with that stuff, and that's why I hate doing it. Like Yastrzemski down there feels like he has some pinch hit concerns. That's also why I don't stack him much as well, because the Giants can always play some crazy ball. But my guess right there, Yastrzemski, if a lefty came in, I don't know, Conforto's been getting almost all of his at-bats. Lamonte Wade, he's got some pinch hit risk. So Lamonte Wade and Yastrzemski is how I see it. And
you know, like most of the time I'm playing on FanDuel, so the 5-guy stack obviously isn't in play over there. But I mean, when I'm playing over on DK, you know, I have played more 5-mans than I normally would that I would like to. But, you know, I don't think I would full 5-man because then they're your main stack. I got some other teams that I like a little better, but I think a mini over there on DK. But yeah, I think they're definitely interesting, as you mentioned, with Wade. I mean, they're not as bad as the Dodgers pinch hitting, man. The Dodgers just absolutely, you rip your hairball out trying to play Kike or Chris Taylor or Outman or, you know, any of these guys. Those guys definitely get pinch hit quite a bit. But yeah, I think the Giants are in play here for me today.
I like it. Title, see the Bucks next year. Never say never, but yeah, it ain't looking good for the Milwaukee Bucks, no doubt about that. 4 games in the association tonight. Big prizes like always. Rio's got that slate planned up. If you're a SHIPIT Nation member, make sure to check that out. Prize pool's big. I've been having so much fun
watching LeBron lose.
I've been having LeBron played amazing basketball. I don't care what nobody says. LeBron was the reason that they were in. That 4-1 series was insane. Like the Lakers played it very well. The series could still go on right now. Nuggets got lucky, I think, to win that series in 4-1, down most of that. Playoff basketball has been so good this year.
LeBron's last game in the purple and gold?
I mean, I assume he wants to play with his kid, and there's not much more time left. So I think he'll want to play with his kid the rest of the way. LeBron can do what he wants to do. Well, we'll absolutely see.
What a sucker draft pick that is. You got
It'll be interesting.
Kid for him to come there and play with you. What a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Hope the Pistons don't fall into that shit.
Why? What else, you guys? You guys want to be the worst team in the NBA, or do you want to actually have some fun and people go to the games?
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, Gyirasin's an old buck, if you can't tell. Most of the old folks, not a big LeBron fan.
Michael Jordan got me to watch basketball. LeBron James got me to stop.
I'm guessing BN Cole's a little old person as well. Hey, that's enough of that. I will say, LeBron, definitely a crybaby. Doesn't get back on defense. That man can still hoop, though, no doubt about that. Austin Reeves, too, played a hell of a game yesterday. What is it, Jack Flaherty?
That's funny.
Oh, God. So let's keep it moving. Yeah. Doesn't shake hands. I hate the no shaking hands stuff. There's no doubt he was good in that series, though, was LeBron. Let's keep it going. Next game on the slate, Chicago Cubs, New York Mets. Javier Assad, Sean Manaea on the mound. 7 total. I guess we didn't really talk about Sean. Like, I don't like bats in this game, but I don't think Sean Manaea is the worst play. Logan Webb will be higher owned. Gray and Reagans might be higher owned. Castillo higher owned. I mean, 60 degrees, wind blowing in New York, a pitcher's park already. This Cubs lineup, Bellinger might not be in it against the lefty. I think Manaea, what are your thoughts on Manaea? Talk about bats in this game if you have interest. I personally don't have interest. It'd be like a mini stack, a one-off at best on the Mets. But maybe Manaea could be an interesting pivot at 8K.
He is. I think he's one of this is a situation where if you really played it, I would stack against him. Like, I'm not really sure. I think it could go either way. He could come out and have a really great game, but I mean, the Cubs are going to roll out a bunch of righties. They all look, have fairly decent WOBAs against lefties, 340, 342, 375, 354. Like, I mean, these guys aren't too bad. There really is. I mean, they got some strikeouts there in that lineup. I mean, I think the Cubs would be kind of interesting, maybe as a low-owned stack, actually, if you wanted to look there. Cubs been hitting the ball pretty well, but there's just too much on this slate for me. Like, I don't think you need to dive that far. Like, I don't think you need to overthink this one. Like, if you like it, I think you should play it today. I don't really think there's going to be, too much ownership, condensed here today. So I think if you like whatever you like, I think you should just play, not really be concerned. But I'm not really a fan of this one here. I think to me, that's just me forcing it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you probably hear right now so many pass. Like, who do these guys like? There's 12 games on the slate. We're going to talk about some offenses we kind of like. And again, so many low totals. Weather still isn't great across the country. Like, you could see the highest team on the slate scoring 9 today, and that wouldn't be crazy by any means. So keep that in the back of your mind. But yeah, these early games, not much interest, a lot of pitcher parks, bad weather, etc. This next game, you hinted at it earlier, and I'm with you. People in chat talking about these Minnesota Twins taking on the White Sox, 8.5 total. Woods, Richardson, and Mike Soroka on the mound. 65 degrees. That's better hitting weather than we've talked about in most of these games. Woods, Richardson just pitched against these White Sox last start. So I don't know. I guess I'll throw it to you on this note and then break down the game. Favor, advantage pitcher, advantage hitter, absolutely neutral. You don't look at it one bit. A pitcher making a consecutive start against that same team. Then break this one down.
In my beginning years, I used to think that had something to do with it. I used to think that, it was better for the hitting team because I saw him already and just saw him recently. But over time, I kind of researched it quite a bit for a year or two ago, and it really kind of is favorite pitcher, actually. But so I just look at it as neutral. It doesn't really matter to me. I kind of might use it as a little bit of a guide for recency bias. I do, probably more so than a lot of baseball analysts will tell you that they don't really believe in like recent stats. I do. I think baseball players are finicky. It's a mind game once they start failing. So to me, I like guys that are hot. I also like to look when a guy's struggling, he starts to walk a few times. You see a guy hasn't hit for shit, and all of a sudden he goes, 1 for, 3 walks and makes 1 out. Like, I'm thinking the next couple of days, this guy's probably going to line one up. So I like to look at stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really care about the pitcher seeing everything else. But this Woods Richardson, he's interesting. I think it's interesting here, but I really think both sides of this game here is something. I already bet the over of this game. It's over at 8.5. I think the Twins are going to score 6-7 runs themselves. I think you could see the White Sox put up some runs, but I really like the Twins side of the bats today. They're probably one of my top 3 stacks here today. You can get them off fairly cheap. Julian is still reasonably cheap, and get Kirilloff. You can get, a lot of these guys here at the top of this lineup fairly reasonably cheap still. So Minnesota's been actually hitting the ball for a change. Larnach, Buxton, if he can get it going. Willie Castro, even at the bottom of that lineup, a cheap shortstop isn't a bad idea either. So I think you could full 5-man stack these Twins here today, probably get a little bit better pitching. I think that'd be a way to go. But yeah, Twins for me are going to be a top 3 stack here today. But yeah, I like the lefties of the Twins.
Carlos Santana. Very few are hotter than freaking Carlos Santana.
Yeah, go figure, right?
I know, that's baseball.
Dusty Carlos Santana.
I swear it was just last week I think I was shitting on him, or 2 weeks ago. It's like you can play everyone but Carlos Santana. Throws it back in 4 of his last 5. Yeah, I mean 1 through 9 you can play. Soroka is hot garbage. Soroka
is too.
Soroka's cheeks. Yeah, Soroka is not good. So 1 through 9, I think
2.17 home runs per 9 innings, 402 WOBA for lefties against him, and 384 WOBA for righties. He's like a fucking softball pitcher.
To be honest, I think the Twins, I don't know. We'll get to that the Dodgers game later, but the Twins are by far one of my favorite stacks. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats, solid hitting weather, and the White Sox and Soroka are just so bad. Yeah, I will say though, anytime the freaking Twins are getting talked up, Twins have burned people so many times these past couple of years. But 1 through 9's in play. I will say these White Sox, I think 1 through 5's fine. Now, I don't like Nicky Lopez. Nicky Lopez bad and leadoff's terrible. I agree. But he's also 2.2K at second base. So if you have everything that makes the lineup work and you're playing 3 White Sox, 2 White Sox, I don't even know if 5's the craziest. Maybe I don't get there today. If I do, it's 1 through 5. But Nicky can fill out that second base position for free. He might be over-owned. I don't love him as a one-off, but again, he can make lineups work. But Eloy, Gavin Sheets, Tommy Pham, Andrew Vaughn, at least they have pop. The bottom of the order, I don't know. I guess Paul DeJong has pop too. It's not the craziest thing. 1 through 5, though, I do think is somewhat in play. Again, solid hitting weather. This Woods Richardson guy is, I don't know. I think we need to see a little bit more. The sample's so small on him. He just saw the same team. Maybe it's advantage Richardson. Maybe it's advantage White Sox. And if that's the case, super low owned, little game stack here or something like that. Any thoughts on these White Sox?
I mean, Benintendi's been hitting the ball a little bit here, recently. So, you got Jimenez has been hitting the ball. Eloy's been, hitting it. So I think, I don't have – I think a mini stack or plucking some one-offs here is kind of interesting. But, the Twins definitely stand out. I was just kind of looking here at some of the hottest hitters, and it's just in the last 7 days of MLB. And Julian, you're looking at slugging is 3rd, Carlos Santana 6, Castro 16, Jeffers 19. I mean, they got 4 dudes in their lineup in the top 20 in slugging in the last 7 days. So, and they didn't play in Mexico either. So, that's what got Houston going, it seemed like. But either way, man, I really think Twins stand out. But, yeah, I think some of these White Sox are definitely in play too.
Yeah, I think a little mini stack, or if you want to game stack it, I think it makes some sense. You can play any. If you want Turnbull Freddie, you want Lopez Freddie. Also, you can definitely leave money on the table. Like some people ask, just say you have a 5-3 stack, but you want to take, or just say 5. I don't know, what's the best example? A 4-2-2 or something like that. You're debating a one-off or adding another person to your stack. I almost always add the other person to the stack. Another good question here. Do you need a pair of batters that are close together in the order, or it does not matter since anyone can hit a home run? I would say you prefer to have closer in the order. Like, I don't love if I have like the 1 hitter, a 5 hitter, and like a 1, 4, and 7. It's not my favorite because they're spread out enough, but I also don't think if you skip a couple spots or like there's a wraparound, in a 5-man stack, you don't have to worry about it at all because you have over half the lineup. In a mini stack, yeah, like maybe having 1 and 6 isn't the best. They can hit home runs though, but the reason for stacking is you go 1 through 5, your leadoff hitter gets a single, your second batter gets a double, and then the other guy bombs. You have 3 runs, 3 RBIs, and you get points for them all. You can score in bunches. In one outcome, you can have multiple people score, which isn't the case in other sports. And you need to be closer in the order for it to happen more than likely. But also some people just do that. So if you mix up your stacks a little bit, you can get different a little bit. So
yeah, I think if I'm doing a wraparound title, as you mentioned, I think it's hard. Like, you don't want a 9 hitter and then the next guy have like your 4 hitter, like, so if you're playing like a mini stack, you got 4, 5, 9. Like, I wouldn't particularly really do that because you're kind of leaving your 9 hitter out to dry. You know what I mean? Like, you need him to hit a homer for you, basically. So yeah, like what Title was saying, I think you just kind of like to, if you're 5-man stacking, I mean, you're not going to have too many holes in there. But yeah, I like to keep it closer though. And you know what? Sometimes I'll say, you know what? I'm going for middle of the bottom of the lineup today. And sometimes you don't always have to play these top guys like the Yankees. I mean, Judge, Soto, you don't always have to play the Volpes, Judges, and Sotos. You know, you can go down to the Stantons, Verdugos, and whoever else if you want. And that part of the lineup goes off and they don't, you win. I mean, that's why sometimes, you know, like the other day, was it last Wednesday we were on the show? We said to stack up the D-backs, they scored 15 runs.
It could have been.
I think it was.
Fantasy.
I stacked it up that day, had the wrong fucking D-backs, right? Like I'm like, I literally had it, but I think it was Pavin Smith hit a grand slam or something. I didn't have any Pavin Smith. But, you know, it happens. It's baseball. So, yeah, I mean, you could literally pick the right team and have the wrong stinking guys. It happens all the time. Just like the other night with the Dodgers stack. You had to have Kike. You had to have, you know, it wasn't the Mookies.
Will Smith, yep. When Rio shipped the queue. Hey, Danny, we're going game by game, talking every single team. If you just want top stack, SHIPIT.com, stack rankings, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, all that. Slate plan, 1, 2, 3, 4 spelled out. Core reports, you can see who's the favorite stacks there. We're going game by game, talking all of it. We don't just, it'd be a 2-minute show. Gyiraszin, top 3 stacks. Title, top 3 stacks. See ya. Get out. Nah, we're going to go game by game. Try and go in depth with that. So if you want just top stacks, SHIPIT.com has you covered in multiple spots to find out people's favorite stacks. Next game on the slate, Tampa Bay Rays, Milwaukee Brewers, 7.5 total. Tyler Alexander, Freddie Peralta on the mound. I mean, if you want to play the Rays, you can donate. Play me in the head-to-head. Just kidding. Don't play a head-to-head with the Rays. If you play it, play a GPP, a large field one. Still do not recommend that one bit. You do get the leverage off of it, but it's a 12-game slate. If you're talking a 5-game slate, I think the Rays would be fine for the game theory approach. Not today. Brewers, though, I don't know. A slate that we don't love much hitting. Tyler Alexander, lefty, I'm not too worried about. They have righties, Adames, Contreras, Rhys Hoskins, Churio, Gary Sanchez. I'm in with these Brewers. Good hitting park, especially on a slate like this. Alexander doesn't scare me. Yeah, I'm going to play some of these Brewers. Top of the order looks real good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to full stack any of these Brewers here, anything like that silly. I think, you know, Contreras is definitely play. Gary Sanchez is definitely play. If you wanted to go there, Rhys Hoskins, I think you could look at Adames. I mean, maybe the top part of the lineup, but I think I would just kind of maybe mini stack 2-man, 3-man at best, maybe plick some one-offs if you wanted to go there. But I think my favorite play here would be Contreras is probably who I'd look at. But I mean, we're sitting at a game total 7.5. I'm just not a fan here, but Peralta, I mean, I think he's obviously, we already talked about his best pitching, got best SP1 on the slate here today, best arm on the slate. I don't even think there's any Tampa Bay Rays that I would even take a shot at if you wanted to go after some leverage and play a one-off. I mean, maybe you could look at like Isaac Paredes, maybe if you wanted to go there, but I mean, Peralta's sitting at a 35% K rate against righties. I mean, that's kind of hard to go against. He doesn't have any lefties that he's even going to fear over here in this lineup. So with the Rays, I mean, it's just kind of a bad situation all around. That's why I like Peralta. I don't even think there's anybody there really he needs to avoid here today. So, yeah, no Rays for me. Maybe Contreras, maybe some Gary Sanchez if you needed some cheap bats.
Yeah, I was going to say, so on FanDuel, if you want to get real different, you can play Contreras and Gary Sanchez together. Nobody likes to click a catcher name really, period, outside of Will Smith. You play 2 catchers, definitely people aren't going to do that. I mean, I wish it was a little better spot. Unfortunately, DK, you only have to pick one. But mainly the top of the order, Perkins should be in the 4-hole. Probably prefer the mini stack, a 3-man, but I don't think a 5-man's crazy. With Freddie, then you get that 6. Yeah, Brewers are interesting to me. On a slate, I don't love too many spots for bats. We'll keep it going. Next game, yeah, they 1-0 yesterday. Man, that was tough. Yankees got them as well. The bats got to wake up. I think a solid spot for them tonight against Alexander. 8:05 Eastern, Washington Nationals, Texas Rangers, Mackenzie Gore, John Gray on the mound, 8 total. John Gray's going to get a little ownership. So, if you want to play, instead of playing the Rays against Freddie, I'd rather play some of these Nats. against John Gray. Now, obviously, you don't get all the leverage like you do against Freddie, but you feel better off. At least I feel better off clicking some of these Nats bats. CJ Abrams, man, talk about hot hitters. You can play that man every single day. I think he's in a very good spot against John Gray. Guaranteed ninth inning at bats in the leadoff spot. Could see 5 at bats today. That man is too good. CJ Abrams, definitely a solid play. The problem is, outside of that, Winker, Eddie Rosario in the 8-hole. I think someone meant. Oh, you're talking about Rosario from the Rays. Eddie Rosario, if he's down there, a wraparound with CJ Abrams, maybe Winker, mainly Abrams or bust for me. Rangers side against Mackenzie Gore definitely gets hit a lot worse against righties than lefties. Fortunately, some of the bats. Seager is a lefty. You can always play him, though. I'd probably go with Dolis, Semien, Jonah Heim, Langford, Zico Duran if he makes the lineup. I don't know. Again, I prefer playing the Rangers against a righty, though, because I always like putting Seager in there. You're paying a big boy price, lefty against Gore, who's solid against lefties. Yeah, probably a mini stack at best for me. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in any of the bats here. Washington, I'm not going to go there here today. I think Gray is pretty good, but as you mentioned, Winker is somebody I'd go. He's got a 430 WOBA against righties here so far. So I mean, John Gray, he's got actually kind of a reverse. He's got 29% K rate against lefties, 27% against righties. But yeah, I don't know, man. This Texas, Mackenzie Gore isn't a guy that I'd like to generally stack against. I mean, I've done it before and it just doesn't work out too well. But yeah, I think Texas, there's just better spots here to go after than try to push it, like I mentioned earlier. But I mean, you can go the righties. Garcia is really strong against the lefties, 437 WOBA against lefties. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's just better offenses here today than here in this game. But Texas side is a little stronger. I don't know. The game's at an 8.5. You think you'd like something about it. It's just nothing stands out for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Abrams for sure, and then Semien and Adolis, but I don't like that game nearly as much as this game right here. Cleveland Guardians, Houston Astros, 9 total. Carlos Carrasco, Hunter Brown on the mound. Anytime I see Carlos Carrasco, I love picking against him. Now, I will bring it to you on this. I will say, too, Hunter Brown has not been great this year. Someone was talking about it up above, like, how is this man still in the rotation? When 2 of your last 3 starts are in the negatives, and one of them's negative 23, holy Christ, man. Yeah, that is that's not good. And these Guardians are pesky, cheap for the most part, guaranteed 9th inning at bats, and a good hitter's park relative to this slate. I don't think the Guardians are crazy by any means. Like Jose Ramirez right in the middle of the order, Naylor. You're spending a little for the top of the order, but salary's not too tough. Yeah, I think the Guardians are interesting. The Astros, though, I'm going to bring it to you on this. They're going to get ownership today. They're coming out of Mexico, though. It's a whole different ballgame. I mean, you probably would hit a bomb or two at Mexico. I mean,
for sure. Lefty and righty.
Lefty and righty, yeah. So definitely a huge downgrade. But Carrasco stings. Astros bats were tweaking. Now they got back. Like, did that just rejuvenate them? Now they're seeing the ball better. Are they going to come back to life now? And it's not elevation type. So, like, how do you – we always talk about Coors Field. This is Coors on steroids, the first game out of there. So, talk about that. Astros are going to get some ownership. Carrasco's just so bad. And then talk about some of these Guardians.
Yeah, I got to laugh when I saw the other day what game was in Mexico and I saw the over-under at 16. I literally thought, they fucked that up. How 16? Like, what the hell are they talking about?
It closed at like 17 and a half.
Yeah, I was like, what are they talking about, man? And then I ended up, obviously seeing where they were playing. But Houston is going to be probably one of the more popular stacks. But I think Houston, I mean, yeah, they're coming off. Maybe they get their head out of their ass because the beginning of the season, they weren't really doing too well. But yeah, I think, looking at this Houston side, I definitely like Alvarez hit a couple homers. Tucker, I think, is interesting. You can definitely look at Altuve. Maybe Bregman even get his head out of his ass for once, too. He hasn't been hitting shit all year. He's the only guy I'd pretty much really worry about in a stack. But I think Pena hit a home run, too, the other day. So definitely like some of these Houston bats here today. Now, going on the other side, I can never stack the Indians up, Guardians, whatever. They're always the Indians in my world. But you got a game total sitting at 9.5. Hunter Brown has struggled. If you wanted to pick some one-offs, I think Naylor would be definitely an interesting guy you could go after. 346, Woba against righties. And then obviously Jose Ramirez, if he starts heating up, he can definitely hit you a couple bombs in a game. So I think I'd pluck one of those two guys off if you want to look for a one-off. But I think these Houston bats are somewhere I'm going to be looking at here today and probably also be in my top 3 as far as stacks here today.
Yeah, Carrasco's bottom 3, probably bottom 1 pitcher on the slate. So it definitely makes sense. Big boy bats, Tucker, Alvarez. And yeah, maybe that's where you go like a Turnbull, or maybe just don't play Freddie, period. Or you could even go Astros, Tucker, Alvarez, Turnbull, and Freddie, and you can still make it work. We talked about plenty. If you want to go cheaper, the White Sox. The White Sox were free. A lot of these teams we've talked about so far are free. So you can jam stars and scrubs easily on this slate. And again, I wouldn't worry too much about ownership. Astros will be one of the highest owned. It's still going to be a lot lower owned on a 12-game slate with so many eating into each other. Next game on the slate, still what? 1, 2, 3, 5 games to talk about. 12 games. Keep it going.
We're going to be on overtime here, brother.
Let's keep it going. We got this. You got some high noons next to you. You're chilling. I'm chilling as well. Philadelphia Phillies, Los Angeles Angels. Good hitting weather, 66 degrees in LA. Spencer Turnbull, Tyler Anderson on the mound, 8.5 total. You mentioned Spencer Turnbull, so I don't think you have much interest in these Angels. The other side, though, man, Tyler Anderson, not good. Not good against righties, not good against lefties. These Phillies got to be one of the best stacks on the slate, too. To be honest, at ownership, let me check this quick. At ownership, I think they're probably my favorite stack on the slate. Definitely top 3 of these Phillies. Guaranteed 9th inning at bat. Good hitting weather. Tyler Anderson is no good. Lefties, righties, 1 through 9, whatever you want to do. I like the Phillies a lot today. So if you're still watching, Danny, Phillies, one of my favorite stacks right there. What about you?
I like the Phillies too here today. They're in the top 5 in slugging percentage the last week. They finally coming around. Finally, stinking Bryce Harper helped me out the other day. That guy's been a thorn in my side. I can never get that guy right. But finally helped me out the other day. But I think all of this, like Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Baum, Castellanos, I think you could play all these guys. And really, they're one of the teams that I don't mind playing. You could play basically the whole team if you wanted to look at that 1 through 9. I think you could look at here today. But Philadelphia is definitely a big stack here. Tyler Anderson is just hot garbage. We know that for a fact. We've kind of chased him here a few times here so far this year. But yeah, give me all the Astros I can get here today. I think.
Wow, you really love those Astros. You
Yeah,
gotta go back to that game.
Really, you know what? I clicked off my screen and I was reading the Astros thing. That's what happens when you have a safety meeting before you get on the show.
Or does that mean you just jam the Astros and that's the winner right there?
And Phillies. That's a good way to go. But
Hey,
I think Philly is definitely in play.
You didn't hit the safety meeting as hard as before that 16 total. Thought the books messed up. You almost hit the under for all the Chiefs.
I should have too, man. It went under too. It did too.
It was right around there. That's funny. Couple of games left. We got the Cincinnati Reds, the San Diego Padres. Yu Darvish, Nick Martinez on the mound, 7.5 total, 60 degrees at Petco Park. I really just don't like playing a lot of these West Coast games. Like we get to Oakland next. I'm not going to play it. I don't like playing Seattle much. Arizona is one of the outliers. The Giants, I don't like playing much in their stadium. So that's just a general thing I do in baseball. I'm not playing the Reds against Yu Darvish. Really. If you want to play Ellie, sure. But he's 6K at that point. Like, I think I'd rather Abrams as a one-off for a little cheaper. No Reds for me as far as the Padres. I don't know. This Nick Martinez cat, talk to me. I don't think I like the Padres.
7.5 total. What do they talk about in San Diego? After a certain part of the night, that marine layer comes in, the air gets a little thicker. So, when the sun's shining, beating on it, it's a little better. But, yeah, we got a 7.5 total. It's, when you got a 12-game slate title, you just kind of look at the small totals, and you kind of almost just, in your mind, cross them off, really, unless you're, one-off hunting, because you're not going to really pull a stack out of a 12-game slate with a 7 total. and think your percentages of hitting are going to be pretty good. So, there are plenty of other options here today. I think we can just cross out both of these guys.
Yeah. If I had to pick anyone on the Padres, yeah, let's move on. No Padres. Next game on the slate, Pittsburgh Pirates, Oakland Athletics, Mitch Keller, Alex Wood, 7.5 total, 63 degrees. Yeah, I mean, the more I talk about it too, Mitch Keller, I think, is very solid play. Now, ownership depends on a lot, but if it's Castillo and Logan Webb more expensive for cheaper, and definitely Freddie up top, kind of in the dead zone, he's got that upside against this A's team. No bats, though. No bats. What about you?
I mean, it just kind of sucks with Keller. His last 2 starts, giving up a couple or 4 earned runs. He's been walking guys out, which is kind of out of character. What do you have? 4 walks?
The upside. The upside's there though. What, a couple games ago, 26. Upside.
Yep, that's definitely there. The A's been struggling. We're not saying they're not. I just think there's too many guys, too many options here today for me to take that kind of a risk for either. But I don't like either of the bats. Again, this is another low total sitting there, 7.5. So I don't think we need to really stress about this one either. But and we got a park we don't really like playing in. So it's just got too many negatives for me.
Yeah, let's make another real quick X off, and then we'll get to the game that is a little interesting. Braves, Mariners, Ronaldo Lopez, Luis Castillo in Seattle. I guess I don't think the Braves are the craziest play because Castillo's going to get some ownership. If you play the Braves every single day, this is one of those days you get them at no ownership. If they somehow break the slate, everyone's like, wow, Braves have been so bad, blah, blah, blah. I don't love it, but I'd rather than play them than the Rays against Freddie. Like, Castillo's going to be the second highest owned, I think. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats. That's the only case I'd make is pure game theory. Maybe it's probably been better in the night slate. Like, Castillo's still going to be plenty owned in the night slates. You have less teams to compete with. Backtracking a little bit, I prefer Braves if I had to play in the night slate. D-backs, Dodgers will still get way more ownership, so you still get them very low owned. I guess 12-gamer, I'm not playing bats in this one.
I mean, it's got the lowest total on the slate with pretty much the best offense. I should tell you all you really need to know. I mean, it's 7. We're sitting at a total of 7. I respect both pitchers enough not to. I mean, if you wanted a one-off home run hunt, maybe you could look at Azuña. He's got pretty good WOBA against righties, but I don't know. That's just too much of a reach for me. As I've been trying to tell myself, don't reach too far today. I don't think you need to do that here today. Play what you like and stay within your lane, I think, is the key today.
Absolutely. If you do, we have 1 game left. Want to see Gyirasin's favorite stacks, top one-offs, his core report, stack rankings, pitcher rankings, hitter rankings, all up on the site. I don't know who Gyirasin is. Someone walked by outside.
Yeah, wife walked by wearing not too many of her clothes. I was thinking, ooh, we could hurry the hell up and get to the bench.
Hey, we got 1 game left. I'll hurry up. We got a window down there. I thought it was just a cave. I was hoping someone was walking by and you weren't saying that to the wall, but I love to hear that. 1 game left. Check out Gyirasin Slate Pen, core report, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, stack rankings, NBA playoffs, golf locks Thursday, NASCAR, so much going on. Hoop 15 gets you 15% off. I can't hold Gyirasin too much longer. The bench, hey, you got to.
Hey, maybe one day me and you will be cool enough to have our own name as a code. Title 15, Gyirasin 15. Or something. Maybe one day we'll be that cool.
If you win $1 million,
all the kudos to Hoop. He should be first. Tambo, but that's no problem. But maybe one day we'll be cool enough.
Hey, maybe we need a Millie Maker, and then we might get our name up there.
Fair.
Title 15. I don't even want to say my own name. Let's go. Last game of the slate, so you can go do your thing. Los Angeles Dodgers, Arizona Diamondbacks, Landon Knack, Jordan Montgomery, 9.5 total. Highest total on the slate, Gyirasin. 2 pitchers that aren't great. I mean, yeah, if you out of all these games that we've talked about, it has to be one of the best games for sure. Good hitting environments. I don't know, though. It's going to get ownership. Talk to me in this one.
I think this one's very interesting. I mean, the Dodgers are always interesting. They were on the winner here yesterday. I think you could play both sides of this game. Actually, Landon Knack is not any good. I mean, I think he's their 6th or 7th starter down the line here. Safety meeting 15. I like that one, but that's actually a good one. But yeah, so I think the Dodgers here are definitely in play. I really like the Dodgers, and I like the lefties too over here with some of these D-back bats. like McCarthy at the top of that lineup. Peterson, I think, is interesting. The only one, Corbin Carroll, just can't hit his way out of a stinking paper bag. That's the only guy I'm concerned about. He's kind of got the Bregman disease. But
it's hard to click that. It's hard to click that name.
Yeah, they haven't priced him down. The dude should be 2,500, not 3,500. What the hell are they doing? Just because he was good last year shouldn't mean. I mean, he's got like the Aaron Judge. He'll never be less than 35. It doesn't matter if the guy goes 0 for 90. He's still going to be 3,500. It doesn't matter. But I think the Dodgers are in play. I think the D-backs are in play. I mean, if you wanted to game stack any game, I think this is the game you could stack up today. Could have some late hammers here if you wanted to go that route. I always like having some late night guys, but I was just checking to see if any of the lineups here dropped. I guess the Arizona lineups out pretty much straight up as it normally is. But I was just kind of looking with the Dodgers to see here, with Jordan Montgomery going out there, they're going to have some righties in there. So if they ever, there's some pinch hit risk going to be here today. So I'm going to pretty much imagine Kike will be in there and probably Chris Taylor probably be in there. Those are the only guys for the Dodgers that I'd kind of worry about. Will Smith isn't a problem. Teoscar doesn't get pinch hit for, but Outman, those guys there at the bottom of that lineup are definitely pinch hit risk. So Kike and Taylor are the guys that you might only get a couple at bats from, but they can still get it done for you.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Rio win a live final seat last week. Like, he played Luck, I believe, Page. Like, he played multiple guys that could get pinch hit for, but when the Dodgers put up 5 in the first inning or something, it really doesn't matter. They might not pinch hit them. You'll get awful arms out of the bullpen. The other team won't worry about matchups and stuff as much. So you're stacking them. Like, if I 5-man stack them, that's when I would play the Kikis and that of the world. I don't like them as a mini stack because you hope Dodgers jump out early. And I will say, like, as much as we just hate on Corbin Carroll, and rightfully so, if you're 5-man stacking the D-backs and Corbin Carroll's 1 or 2% owned, which I think he is, I'll never say no to that. I don't like it as a one-off by any means, not even really as a mini stack. But you want to go like Carroll, Blaze isn't even in there. Shoot. I don't love Newman as much. Corbin, McCarthy, like a wraparound, and use Carroll as that guy. I don't think that's crazy, but most definitely has been bad. That's all 12 games. Awesome stuff, Gyiraszin. Again, he will be on the Slate plan. Check out his favorite stacks, favorite one-offs, his little Slate plan, his breakdown. He'll have a core report. Ham has been on fire. Hoop, big nades, NBA going on. Check out Rio stuff. Absolutely been crushing there. Showdown. What a night, man. 12 MLB games on the main slate, like 16 or something for the day. 4 NBA games. Showdown, huge prize pools. PGA Thursday, NASCAR Sunday, UFC 301 Saturday. It's a lot of money to be made. If you want to join us at the Nation, all of our content, weekly, $24 a week. No Discord, no promo code. If you want to get in the Discord, in the community, monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Hoop15 is the promo code. Gets you 15% off. Final words for the people, Gyiraszin.
I guess we offended Mr. Roth Window Cleaning Services. I don't know. He ain't calling me because I ain't a kid, so he might be talking about you.
I know. I never said. I
say fuck all I want. This isn't fucking on TV or nothing. We are a bunch of degenerates. So
first of all, I never said holy before. I said holy cripes, and then I might have said Christ once. I wear a cross. I go to mass all the time, buddy. You don't ever got to tell me what to do, Window Roth. That's enough of that, though. Don't even entertain that.
Right, I know, but I just like to give it back. That's all. It's all good. But hey, we're gonna have some fun. We don't really care. We all know what the deal is. We're gonna have some fun, have some high noon safety meetings. We're gonna build up our teams. I'm gonna finish up that Slate plan over here at SHIPIT Nation. As you mentioned, man, we've been crushing over here at all the sports. Got a live final seat last night. Man, just 2-3 weeks ago, we had a Millie Maker winner off golf. Man, we've been absolutely smashing. So a lot of fun coming into baseball. Everybody think, it's only baseball anymore. But man, that's where we shine. So that's when SHIPIT started, was during baseball time. So coming up here on our birthday, coming up here in a couple more months, SHIPIT Nation, we're going to celebrate that. But before we do that tonight, we're going to master through this slate here tonight, pick us out some winners. I think we gave you guys some pretty good things to base off your lineups here to start out. But I mean, today, I think this is one here. I don't really have any really strong convictions on anything here today. As I said, play what you like, mix it up a little bit. And, I did mention 2 title last week, and I know we briefly talked about, like not stacking as much. I mean, go back and look at your contests. Go back and look. It's guys that are maybe with one stack and they got 4 one-offs, 3 one-offs. I'm not saying that's the way to go, but that's been winning because we haven't been seeing the 10 runs, the 15 runs. Now we have in the last week or so, the Yankees put up 15 a couple times. We had the Arizona D-backs in the Brew Crew. We've seen a couple times now where this has played out, but unless that happens, these full stacks haven't been shipping it like they have in the past. I think more people are actually breaking off from the full stacks, as you see. I've actually been seeing it being touted a little more at some other places around the industry as I do some research, because they're looking at past results too. So, I mean, hey, just make sure you get in there, grind it out. You don't want to miss the boat, man. I mean, DFS changes quick. I mean, I've been playing this game a long time. You got to learn to adjust and don't be stubborn and sit there and say, I got to do it this way every time. I mean, you got to learn to adjust on the fly. So I'm not quite sure that that's the process yet, but we're going to keep it on our radar title as we keep talking about this from week to week because, it just does seem to be what's been happening. But, hey, let's get us some winners here tonight so we can have us a Twitter party.
Hey, moral of the story, like you said, though, always look back. Review your contest. Look at what sharp people are doing, whether you're on Gyiraszin. I still like stacking. I always say that. I will be way behind the curve if the norm ever does change. But what he's saying is very important for sure. Don't just always follow the lead blindly. Amen to that, Jake. Hope all y'all out there have a great night. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top for Gyiraszin. I'm Titletown. Good luck. Stay safe. Peace.